Hey gamers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're jumping back into DC Dark Legion and we're taking a look at the brand new tier list that we updated from the truncated one last month. There has been a lot of changes and some movement around with some of the characters in the game. Some characters got buffed, which definitely helped them out. So this tier list now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. Very cool stuff here. Hopefully it's helpful for you. There's a lot to discuss here, so let's get into it. All right, and welcome back. Before we jump in the tier list, this tier list is not something that I created on my own. There's a team of us that take a look at this and provide feedback, not just us as a team, but as a community as well. I've got some channels on my Discord where people can contribute to the conversation, provide feedback and things like that on the tier list and what they have found works best for them. So this isn't just one person's look at it. This is multiple people taking a look at this and providing feedback, trying to get you the best list possible. With that said, there is a couple disclaimers that I need to make. This is not a max level tier list. We don't have everybody maxed. We don't have everybody maxed star levels. We don't have max gear. We don't have max force. So these are tier lists that we're creating along the way. So it's a journey to global launch, letting you know what's working now. Some characters that were super bad in the beginning are starting to bloom a little bit and look a little bit better, like Mara and Flash. Other characters that has stayed at the top of the list are continuing to do well, like Two-Face, Green Arrow. So just a lot of stuff here. So just take that, all right, with a grain of salt. Use this list as a way to kind of gauge what do you have in your roster, what's going to work well, because we've tested these characters quite a bit. But some people may have characters at different star levels, like you have pay-to-play people in here who have like max level Catwoman or max level Flash, and they're doing better than what we feel that they're doing currently. Take this as kind of a free-to-play look at characters, and again, use this as a journey. All right, I'll stop with that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tier list. Here's what we got as far as a tier list. All right, I will leave a link to this spreadsheet in the description below so that you can go ahead and take a look at it whenever you want. There's a few things to take a look here. First off, I stayed away from S+. I'm going to continue to stay away from that until we get to global and beyond. So we just started with S. The way that this is organized, we have general and we have combat cycle. So if you took a look at what we did before, we had best, middle of the road, bad, untested, things like that, right? So we've expanded this out now into a more traditional tier list. We've got general ratings here along with combat cycle ratings. So if you saw my previous video on combat cycle is the second most important game mode in the game. Obviously, your first most important is going to be your campaign. That way you further yourself along in the story. You unlock other cities, which allows you access to other production buildings, which is going to help you passively generate more resources so you can build up your base, build up your roster and everything like that. Combat cycle is going to be that second most important because you get a lot of resources and summoning materials and things that you need to, again, build up your roster and your base and all that stuff. So I ordered it by general first, and then I ordered it by combat cycle second. We're now, when we get into the next update of the tier list, we are going to add timeline in here because we feel that that's probably the next most important game mode. But if we just take a look at this, Nightwing remains at the top. Amazing damage, great AoE, does really well with Batgirl because she increases crit. He does well with crit, does a ton of damage. If you have him, you probably love him, and you're probably not going to disagree with this. When we took a look at our A+ characters here, actually, I need to swap these two around because Dr. Fate is going to move up here. Boom, just like that. Look at that. Changes on the fly. All right, our A+ characters, these are characters that are going to do you well in multiple game modes along the way. So Poison Ivy, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, they have all done really, really good. Red Hood, who was kind of middle of the road last time, he's come up now because they improved his ultimate. His ultimate used to put him in the middle of a mob, a group of mobs. He would do his damage, and then they would just swarm him, and he would die. That's why we had him so low on the tier list, just because he would just die a lot, and the AI would do that. They now have improved that. It's not perfect, but they've done a better job with it. We feel that that has earned him a little bit of a bump up in the general ratings. He's still an A in combat cycle. You still want these characters here in your combat cycle. They are going to help you increase that damage and get those rewards. When we take a look at Dr. Fate, I've got Dr. Fate and Constantine in yellow. Dr. Fate yellow because he is new and he is fantastic. I honestly want to bump him up to S, but I'm exercising a little bit of restraint here. When those of us who have him and have provided feedback on him, one thing that we do love about him is his shields. We have also noticed when you take a look at tanks that you bring into combat cycle, we don't bring Wonder Woman into combat cycle. She doesn't really do any good there. Her stun doesn't work. So we stopped using tanks altogether. And then when Dr. Fate came out, we started using Dr. Fate in there because he provides those shields and increases the survivability of your team in combat cycle. Obviously, that's going to follow you into PvP and campaign as well. He is a fantastic tank. He doesn't do much damage. He's not meant to. He's there to protect your team, and he does a great job with that. Wonder Woman's still good. Still not great in combat cycle, so she is still low there. Constantine. Here's the thing with Constantine. Not very many people have him. Those of us who have been providing a lot of feedback on this tier list, only one person I think has him, and only has him at 5 whites. That's the base star level of that character, and really doesn't have an opportunity to shine. He was great in previous tests. We bumped him down to an A. We dropped him to an A in both because there is some benefit. He does have some great damage. He has this ability that puts this circle in the middle of the battlefield, and as your teammates launch their ultimates, that circle does additional damage. So there's great there. We just need some more testing with him. So that's why we have him at an A right now. Harley Quinn is an A. She's great. She does a lot of damage. One thing that we have noticed is that she does much better with Merciless than she does with Devastator. And then obviously in campaign, she does well. And that's in combat cycle, that is because of the AoE damage that she does. She also has a self-heal that does really well. Her 99-cent offer, if you pay to play, is definitely worth it, and I would definitely do it. I would actually buy all 3 offers to get her up to 2 blues because she's going to work well. Joker started out really low. He got a buff in this last update that has bumped him up from a B to an A. He does some nice AoE damage. I think he's going to do really well once we get a higher level Gotham villains team together. And we start having some of those longer battles because the AoE damage, the damage over time that he does, I think is going to work really, really well. Superman still remains an A. I think we had him at an A or at least middle of the road last time. He got a buff as well. He does a little bit more damage. He does good. Some people bring him into combat cycle. He does well in PvP. Also, in campaign, you can almost bring anybody, and they're going to do well. So we've got him at an A. Two-Face, Red Robin, Black Adam, Penguin, all A's. Lex Luthor, an A. Not so good in combat cycle right now. However, I will say we need to do a little bit more testing when it comes to that. But they're all great as well. I almost want to bump Two-Face up to an A+. Maybe we'll do that. We'll continue to test him. But he is fantastic for your combat cycle. You want him, Ivy, and Catwoman in there for your base 3. And then the other 2 really depends on who you're going to throw in there that's going to help you get the most damage, whether it's GL, whether it's Dr. Fate, whatever that might be. That'll help you out quite a bit. And then as we start getting down to the lowers, Catwoman still B. She's not really fantastic in anything else other than combat cycle. I almost want to put her at an S for combat cycle, but she's at an A+ right now, does fantastic damage. Like I said, most people use her in combat cycle. If you take a look at your combat cycle rankings, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a team that does not have Two-Face, Ivy, and Catwoman on it. Batgirl. All right, Batgirl does great. She is good in combat cycle. I don't think she does very well. I don't think she does very well in campaign because those battles don't last long enough. She really shines by giving additional crit to your team, especially when Nightwing is on the team and you've got some other of the Bat family there. It's actually Alter Egos that gets a boost when you take a look at that tag. So Green Arrow will work with her to get that additional crit and that additional damage. The battles just don't last long enough in campaign. Maybe not even in PvP, but combat cycle definitely lasts long enough. She definitely helps some teams. I've been having a hard time finding a place for her on my team because when I put her in there, I don't get that damage increase much, but a lot of people do. So she is definitely good in combat cycle. Mara, I have her in green because she gets better as she gets more stars, more levels, and just gets built a little bit more. So she is not as good in the early game. She's the only thing you can use in the early game. As soon as you can swap her out for GL or Ivy, I would. Later, towards the mid game, she gets a little bit better. She's the only healer that has a heal over time. She also has that female tag that gives that shield when there's other females on the team. So that's where we have her right now. Robin, Shazam, Flash. Flash actually did come up. Flash was at a C, now is up to a B. He's getting better. I think he's one of those characters where as we build up our rosters and get further and further into the game, he's really only a benefit when he can buff or when he can allow high attacking characters to launch their ultimates more often. So whether that is Catwoman launching her ultimate more often to do more damage in combat cycle, it's really combat cycle that I think he does better in. But overall, right now, we've got him at a B. He did come up. Raven, Aquaman, Cyborg, all of these characters here still remain as C's right now. Not very fantastic. Captain Cold, this is really based on the last time he was in a previous test. He is coming back around with the Deathstroke banner, so we'll see if any changes happened with him. And then Sinestro, Scarecrow, Zatanna, and Deathstroke we have as untested. Deathstroke was amazing. I have him highlighted. He was amazing in previous tests, but because we don't have him, we went ahead and just put him in untested so that we can just start over with the evaluation there. Those are the ratings that we have right now, S all the way down to C, and who we have untested. In the next update to this, we're going to add timeline like I was talking about. So we'll continue to adjust ratings for general and combat cycle as we continue to get more experience and build those characters up to higher star levels, focus, force, skills, as well as gear and weapons. So expect this to change quite a bit between now and when it finally hits global. Hopefully this is helpful for you though. Take this with a bunch of the other videos and guides and everything that I've put out. A lot of feedback, like I said, went into it. And I think it's pretty solid, at least for right now. All right, everybody, that is what I had for you. As always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.